There are many different kinds of trailer locks.
Another P-trap. If we did it, takes up a small amount of space because it folds up so much.
Whether it is a 30 amp or a 50 amp. That's one of the big things that I didn't even think about. Hello everyone, welcome back to one of our videos. We are going to bring some tiny house material today, and my bubby is joining us. He's got most of the fun facts. I'm just here for show. We have gathered up the 10 items that we needed on the first day of being in our tiny house. Some of these things we expected, some of these things we did not expect, and we were like, I guess that's kind of obvious. Maybe we should have thought about that and prepared for that first. Because we also, once our tiny house arrived, we went out and shopped that day. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you guys are planning to plan a little more in advance, bravo to you. I wish we were you. And everything that we mentioned will be linked in the description box down below. We have Amazon links, so if you shop on Amazon, if you're interested in checking out those things, feel free to do so. It would totally help us out. But a lot of these products can also be found at, I'm pretty sure you did shopping at Home Depot. Walmart was suggested to us.
Conveniently, we have Tractor Supply Co. down the street too. But yeah, Walmart had a nice RV section with like the Camco is a brand you'll see a lot, but like all the stuff we're going to talk about I got mostly from Walmart. Home Depot was the tools.
Yeah. And then I do even have Camco as a company linked down below, so that will just bring you all of their information. We also noticed when looking for things for a tiny house that a lot of them in their title of the product will mention RV. And so that just seems to be very, they are exchangeable items for things both for tiny houses and RVs. Mm-hmm. First thing on our list of 10 are the jack stands. So, of course, when having your tiny house, you need to level it out, potentially yourself, potentially can also be done by companies. We ended up buying 4 jack stands because our tiny house came with 2 scissor jacks already attached to the back of it. Bubby has had the joy of leveling out our tiny house.
Yeah, that was fun. I pretty much just used the tongue foot and the scissor jacks in the back at first, and then slowly realized that that was not going to cut it, and we needed to get some jack stands.
Depending on where your tiny house is parked, like what type of material you're parked on top of, you might also need to have wood underneath the jack stands.
You want it pressure treated because you are going to be applying pressure onto it already, so if you don't get pressure treated wood, it can split, depress more than you want it to, and then it's not doing its job. So pressure treated is just so that it's not going to sink in more when you apply weight to it. And then the pressure treated wood usually comes weather resistant. For me, I bought a big long plank and I made a bunch of cuts. Yeah. So I had to go get copper green is the solution that they use to get the sides that I cut weather resistant again. If you don't do that, the wood is going to rot.
Don't want that.
And then at some point it'll, fall apart.
Yeah.
So
especially with, like you said, the weight of the tiny house.
Yeah.
No bueno. Number 2. A 20-ton bottle jack.
I actually think I went overkill on this. Maybe we could have gotten a 10-ton, but I wanted something that could definitely lift the tiny house with everything inside of it with no struggles. Yeah, I went with a bottle jack for sizing. Some people, they will get the type of jack that you see someone jacking up their car with.
Jack.
Yeah, a car jack, duh. And I just didn't want to go with car jack because it's large. We're low on space, and I didn't want to leave my brand new car jack outside to the weather. So I got a bottle jack so that we could easily store it inside, take it out when we need it. I also will say with the bottle jacks, there are different kinds. I got the one that not only can you pump it to raise and lower it, but it's got an insert that can screw to raise it ever so slightly or lower it slightly. That way I can unscrew that, place it under the thing that I'm going to lift, and then re-screw it back out so it's just underneath the point, rather than having to hydraulically depress it and then sit there and to get all the way back up to get that distance. So I would look for a bottle jack if you choose one that has the screw top for, closing the gaps.
One little aside with this is when changing the height of your tiny house, make sure that you don't have anything underneath your tiny house that might end up being too tall, so that when you lower your tiny house, it squashes it. For example, a huge glass jar full of birdseed. I don't know where that example came from. It just came to me. No, it didn't happen to us. We wouldn't do that. Number 3 is an I-beam level. So the one that we ended up getting is a bubble level. That way you can literally see the liquid moving. And we did not get one that has a magnet on it. Although, when doing research and such, we've decided that is the type that we want to get. And Jared mentioned that we want to make sure we have one that's at least 2 feet. If you want to go 4 feet, go 4 feet. But at least 2 feet long, because the longer it is, the more accurate that the level can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also like that the level that we got has measurements on one side.
Oh yeah, like a ruler.
Yeah, because I've had levels that have no measurements and they're just a level, and then you've also got to manipulate a tape measure if you need measurements, which, no, it can do both.
And then number 4. Either a 30 amp or a 50 amp power cord. Of course, this has to do with what type of RV or tiny house you have, whether it is a 30 amp or a 50 amp. And then the type of pedestal that you're hooking up your tiny house to. So where we're staying right now, they do have options of 30 amp and 50 amp, although we picked a spot that is a 30 amp pedestal. We are in a 50 amp tiny house, but that is perfectly fine. We also got an adapter for this cord so that we could run our 50 amp tiny off of the 30 amp pedestal. We actually haven't really had issues with only being on 30 amp in our tiny. Ironically, I literally just answered a question about this on another video. We have only had the power go out once due to having too many things loaded up onto it. And we are always running a cat water fountain, 2 automatic pet feeders, the litter robot, which is electric, air filter, our Mr. Cool heating and cooling system, a lot of stuff always running, and then we'll do our dishwasher, our washer dryer, maybe 1 kitchen appliance at the same time, have the TV on, and everything works. We do have propane for the hot water heater, so that's a little bit less on the electric. And then we have our refrigerator and our phone chargers on our solar panel, so also again a little bit less on the electric. But we're still really impressed and surprised with how well everything's been running so far. Also, when getting cords, you want to make sure that you know how far away your hookup is going to be from the pedestal. So I believe that we were able to do 25 feet and less for everything. Yeah. We probably could have done 15 feet and less for everything, but it really just depends on where you are.
In the future, we might have, power farther than it is now. We'll be happy that we have the 25 feet.
Exactly.
And I mean, it coils nice. I have it around a bucket, for the template of it. Yeah.
And then you were concerned at first about rain and the electrical setup.
Yeah, so when you have your plug plugged into the pedestal is designed to house a plug. It's not designed to house a plug that then has a 2-inch long adapter on it. Our power cable is hooked up. The door is kind of open. All of those are designed to be weather resistant, so water, the way it's constructed, will run off of it. So unless we have water really going in there sideways, it's not going to get wet, even in the way that we have it set up. But especially when you don't have the adapter, completely waterproof.
And it was noted to us that, because some people will use a bag if it's raining and put it over it just to make sure that the rain doesn't get to it. But one concern with that is it can create condensation on the inside, and then you're putting in a bag of water. So just be aware of that and careful with that.
If you're going to bag anything up electrical, you definitely want air to be able to escape or for water to drip out downwards away from the connectors.
And then 3-prong versus 4-prong.
Most of the time, you will see a 50 amp connection be a 4-prong plug. And so that's what we have. That's what our pedestal out here has. But when I was looking up cables and adapters and all that stuff, there are 50 amp 3-prong plugs as well. Really, we don't care if it's 50 or 30 amp, except for the fact that our oven is a 240 volt electric oven. So if we're not getting 50 amps, it's not getting 240 volts, and it just can't run.
So that's the one thing we can't use right now, being on the 30 amp, because we can't use our oven.
Exactly. But everything else in our house is 110, 120, and with the 30 amps, runs it great. Yeah. No problem.
For sure.
We probably couldn't run every single appliance at the same time, full power right now, but like she said, we
normally wouldn't need to run every appliance. We wouldn't do that normally. So
I've only tripped it once.
That's not an issue.
I don't even remember what it was for.
Right? Yeah, I don't know what we did.
It was probably a space heater.
Maybe,
before the Mr. Cool was installed.
That's true.
I think it was the space heater.
That's definitely true. Number 5 is a water hose. So, So easy, so simple.
Yeah.
Literally a hose. You just hook it up to the side of your tiny house, RV. It hooks up to the water pedestal. The only thing to note with this one is you want to make sure that it is rated for drinking water. So that's really important. And then on ours, you'll see that we do have a little filter. That's what that like white foot long thing is on there. It is a water filter. We will get a different one once we move on to our property that's a bit more substantial. This is just to make the water better for like when you're in the shower, but it's not making it so that it's drinkable water. So we still filter our drinkable water.
Yeah, it's a sediment trap.
Cool. So the next 3 things are all related to the sewer lines, but number 6 would be a sewer hose kit.
With your sewer line hoses, personally, I think that you want a stronger hose that's going to last, and I would spend the money on the Rhino Flex accordion, with the wire around it, because like all I can picture is going cheap on the hose, and after you've used it, it obviously has some debris in there. I don't want that hose to break while I'm using it, and then I gotta deal with that stuff.
Not ideal cleanup.
So yeah, just get a nice one that stores well, has the caps on either side, so when you're not using it in transit, liquid can't just come out of the hose. Yeah, most of the kits, they come with everything you need. The caps, the hose, an extension if you need a really, really far distance, and then the elbow joint so that can hook into the where you're depositing the sewer.
And then,
stuff.
Yes. And then we also needed on ours, number 7, the sewer drain gate valve, which I don't believe every tiny might need, but if you do, this is what ours looked like.
Our tiny house did not come ready to go, so to speak, for us to hook up to sewer. Our tiny house did not come equipped with the drain gate, I guess is the name that people know it by. Essentially, you hook up your hose to the drain gate with these little lugs, or, I don't know the terminology. But the hose hooks on, you turn it, and it locks in place. We didn't have that when our house came. Yeah. So I had to go buy the drain gate online from Camco and install that onto our tiny house. Then we were able to hook the hose in. Opens and closes depending on whether or not it's in use, and I just needed some glue to glue it onto the pipe.
Yep. Number 8, the sewer hose supports. Ocho. Sewer hose supportos.
Staying with the sewer theme, we also had to get supports for the sewer hose. Essentially, it makes sure that there is a slope so that everything runs downward. So it accordions out, it's higher over here, lower over there, and it just guides your hose to where it needs to go so that there aren't any flat points or dips where liquid can accumulate.
Gravity. But we have seen other people, they'll almost make it so it comes out a little bit, but then it dips and does a thing. There must be a reason for that, but I couldn't tell you anything about that.
I know the answer to this now.
Oh, good.
So basically, it's called a P-trap. And so in plumbing, when you have a dip, it's so that water stays there and the smelly gases can't get past the water into your house. The reason that we don't need a P-trap on our hose is all of our appliances have P-traps in their plumbing lines. So it's kind of just another P-trap if we did it.
P-trap.
I don't know how they construct RVs.
P-trap.
Yeah, picture like a P.
The letter.
Not P. It's the shape of a P.
Correct.
But yeah, maybe RVs are designed in a way where they don't have P-traps after all their plumbing, so if they don't have a P-trap in their hose, then the smell comes back through. I don't know.
Yes.
But if you ever hear P-trap, it's for smells.
Yes.
Awesome.
Number 9, a trailer lock. There are many different kinds of trailer locks.
Gosh.
Many. Interestingly enough, my mom has a trailer that she has attached to the back of her vehicle. So she's had a lot of experience with different locks, and she gave us the 411. She let us know the best company to buy from for a lock because she's had a lot of locks that were broken and people trying to break into her trailer, trying to steal her trailer. Not a tiny house trailer, so like it's
storage trailer.
A smaller store. Yeah, you guys might have seen it. She helped us bring things up here actually.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that if you're going to put money into a lock, that you get something that's not going to be broken, that will at least slow someone down. So, I don't know. No one wants their tiny house
Or
stolen.
they look at it and they go,
Not worth it.
Not worth it.
Not worth it. Proven Industries was the company that she suggested, and it was a coupler lock. I didn't link a specific one, only because they're different sizes depending on the trailer and just different things in general, but that was her suggestion. If you're going to go for a lock, that would be a company to do.
Yeah. Coupler lock is basically two things coming together. Could be so many different designs, but the way this is it's just really thick metal in a circle that comes up underneath and over top, and then you lock it together. I mean, a sledgehammer could probably break it open eventually, but they're going to be loud and very obvious.
Yeah.
The issue I have with a lot of other locks is that a bolt cutter could just cut through whatever somewhere. Or locks tend to have a lot of plastic parts. And so as strong as your lock is, if they can smash off the plastic bit that's holding it in place, the lock's worthless.
We watched a lot of videos that are buying a bunch of different locks and just showing you how that you can break into them. There's even one gentleman where if you think you have a lock that is unbreakable, he's like, send it to me. I'll show you I can break it.
A lock-picking lawyer. Shout out.
So, just interesting. But it does make sense to have a lock, and those are our suggestions for it. Number 10. Steps to the front of the tiny house. Seems so silly.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things that I didn't even think about. It didn't even enter my brain on the checklist when we were prepping for our tiny house. And then we got here and I'm doing this huge step to get into the house. I mean, it's kind of like a lunge. So it's a little workout.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a little built-in workout in their day, right?
2-foot elevation change.
Yeah. We did measure. It literally was 2 feet. So we had a 24-inch gap to fill in some way. Mm-hmm. We ended up buying the step that I'm showing you guys here. It definitely works. It's a step. I don't know if I'd be like, you should get this step, only because there's still like a decent amount of space that I am making up in my second step into the tiny house. Mm-hmm. But it's better than nothing. We were looking online just yesterday when prepping for this video at another kind of step that we might get that I'll just put a picture up of here. And it seems like it will work for our tiny house. They're typically made for RVs, but as we mentioned, RV and tiny house are very interchangeable. So we hope that would work. We would just need to remove it, of course, when our tiny house is moved and traveling on the road, but that's not a big deal. And then once we end up on our property, we will just build out of wood an actual, whether it be deck, staircase, something of the sort that's more permanent. But you gotta be able to get into your tiny house.
Yeah.
So yeah. Those are the top 10 things that we needed day one with our tiny house. There are a couple honorable mentions. One of those being a ladder. Of course, if your tiny house comes in perfect condition and you don't have any solar panels or whatever, you might not need a ladder at all or right away. But
gotta hang Christmas lights.
It's true. What kind of ladder do we have?
We have a
We have a little giant ladder. It is not very little. It's pretty giant. He got it from Costco, and we've used it for quite a long time now. We used it when we were painting our townhouse before I moved. Just so many different things. It is great quality.
It's extendable. It can be an A-frame, or you can flatten it out, and then when it's totally flat, fully extended, I think it's a 12-foot ladder. But super secure. It's 100% aluminum. It's been out in the rain the past couple weeks. There's no rust on it. It's a great ladder.
Love it.
Takes up a small amount of space because it folds up so much.
Yeah. And then the other thing would be a headlamp.
Yes.
We got a set of Duracell headlamps. The reasoning is it's very possible that you're going to be doing a lot of things outside in the evening, in the dark, maybe needing to check your water hookup, check the sewer hookup, check the electric hookup, whatever it is. And I mean, especially right now, it gets dark so early. It's dark before 5 p.m. So that might not be completely pertinent to your situation, but something that could come in handy depending on the situation.
Yeah, if the power goes out, anything like that. So, just having a headlamp in a junk drawer for you to grab, bam, there it is.
Yeah. Fun fact, my bestie, she always thought that when people said junk drawer, they were saying drunk drawer, which is funny. Because it makes sense.
Drawer.
It makes sense.
I put stuff in there because I was drunk. I didn't know where else to put it.
But it's also the junk, categorically. But I hope that was helpful for you guys. Those are just things that have been very necessary in our tiny house ventures. They could be for you as well. And like I said, everything is linked in the description box below. Nice and in order, easy for you. If you're gonna buy it off Amazon, please utilize our links. We would really appreciate it. Thank you guys again so much. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to our channel. We will have plenty of tiny house content coming out in the near future, along with a couple of vlogs here and there.
If you guys have any questions or comments for things you thought that we left out, feel free to put them below. I'd be happy to answer any more
questions on
I just didn't want to say questions again.
That's okay.
Any more queries? Sorry you didn't get as many cats this time.
It's true. It's napping time.
Yeah.
It's napping time of the day. Give this video a like, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon.